With major votes happening in Washington that impact the lives of people across the country, you might be wondering how you can check in with those who represent you. Well, Congress was out on recess last week. The only Central Indiana member of Congress to hold an event to hear from citizens was Representative Andre Carson. He held a virtual town hall. WRTV's Meredith Hackler talked to Hoosiers who feel their voice isn't being heard. She joins us now from the newsroom tonight. Meredith.
Mark, town halls are a time when the everyday Hoosier has the opportunity to ask questions of the person who represents them in Washington. With how fast things are moving in D.C., the Hoosiers I talked to want their questions answered. As President Trump's second term gets underway, many Hoosiers are wondering how their representatives in Washington are supporting or opposing his agenda in Congress. Answers they say they aren't getting.
It is part of your job to communicate with your constituents, and you don't get a free pass by hitting send on an email or having a college kid pick up the phone and say, I don't know, or no comment, or whatever it is that they've been told to say.
It just feels like he's hiding. It feels like he's weak, and he feels like he's not answering the questions that will be difficult to his constituents, and that is his number one job.
I talked with 3 Hoosiers who say there's a lack of communication from their Central Indiana representatives. Many times they say staffers won't pick up the phone, and if they do, answers are limited. And they're frustrated by a lack of town halls.
In order to reach her, the office was saying it would normally be town halls, but they don't have a schedule yet this year. Here we are in February, and there's still no schedule for any town halls.
People voted you in, you answer to them. You do not answer to people that, quite frankly, weren't even elected to what they're doing right now in Washington.
So I took to the phones to see if I could get anyone to pick up at the offices of our Central Indiana representatives and senators. The local offices of Representative Jefferson Shreve, Representative Jim Baird, and Senator Todd Young didn't answer. I did get an answer from the offices of Representative Victoria Spartz, Representative Andre Carson, and Senator Jim Banks. None of them had any dates for future town halls, something experts say is common when constituents aren't happy.
In Indiana, we don't have very many competitive districts, and thus, the incentive to go out and shake hands and meet with people and talk to them is less because almost all the districts at the state level are not competitive.
Leaving these Hoosiers with a common feeling.
We don't have a voice in it. They've decided what they're doing or not doing, and they're going to ride with it. They're not going to be open to what their constituents actually want.
Certainly some frustrated Hoosiers, and something to keep in mind is that politicians are not required by law to communicate with the people that they serve in their district. The expert I spoke with says, though, it's generally good politics to do so, Mark.
Meredith, in your story there, we saw you working the phones there, getting in touch with representatives. We saw 6 there. Where did you have the best luck of getting someone on the phone? Because there are offices all over for the politicians.
Yeah, absolutely, all over the state. And one place I was always able to get an actual person to talk to was our congressional members' Washington, D.C. offices. But when asked about town halls, many referred me back to lawmakers' local offices. I'm sure the same things happen to some of those Hoosiers as well. Now, the Indiana Secretary of State's office has a website that can show you a list of your representatives and their contact information. You can find a link to that at our website, WRTV.com.
Always good to check that out. Our Meredith Hackler in the newsroom for us tonight. Thanks, Meredith.